What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Revival. My name is JJ, and this is my experience with Final Fantasy VII. So anybody who has played PlayStation at any point knows what Final Fantasy VII is. It pretty much needs no introduction unless you're super young and just have no interest in anything regarding like the Final Fantasy series or the history of gaming in general. Long story short, when this game came out, it was huge. It was massive. They spent tons of money on making it. They pushed it on TV. They advertised the hell out of it. It was in magazines. It was in bookstores all over the place. It was just crazy, the amount that they were pushing this. And when it came out, it delivered. Everybody that played it, I would say most people that played it, absolutely loved it. Still love it to this day. It's a lot of people's favorite game still. It really helped to bridge that divide between people who just played video games for whatever reason and people who liked that engaging story and RPG style gameplay. It was amazing to see all these people who never had tried an RPG before get into the genre, and it created so many new fans of not only the Final Fantasy series but the RPG genre in general, which is one of the reasons I love this game so much. Personally, I was so hyped about it because obviously I have a lot of history with Final Fantasy 2 and 3 or 4 and 6 on the Super Nintendo. Coming from that, which I played at this point, those two games so many times, and I was in love with the series, given I only had played those two games. But when I heard there was a new one coming out, I was like, cool, and thank God I already had a PlayStation because I was worried it was going to be on Nintendo. But I got PlayStation 4 Twisted Metal 2, as I mentioned in my PS1 collection video. And I was so excited that I was going to be able to play it. It was out for so long before I actually got it, though. And the lengths that I went to try and just get little tidbits and be able to try it out here and there, like even just like little story things. I think back on it and I'm like, oh my god, I was a fanatic before I even played the thing. So basically, game got announced. Super excited for it. Saw TV commercials for it. It was awesome. Super excited. Saw this in a store. It was... another thing about it, I found a lot of like gaming magazines. I guess I never really looked for magazines when I was at home. I was always on vacation because I always just wanted something to read or something to do. And I have my Game Boy, obviously, but if I see like a gaming magazine, I would always look for like a Nintendo Power or Game Pro at the time. And yeah, so I don't remember what trip it was, but we were on a trip and at an airport, and I saw this. It's a Game Pro issue. I still have it. It's actually in pretty good condition, too. The cover, Final Fantasy VII, right on it. And I asked my dad if he'd buy it for me. He did. And I remember reading this thing, like, back to front. After this, I actually did get a subscription to the magazine, too, because I enjoyed reading it so much. But I remember, like, after I did get the game, first of all, there's a really cool... and I'll do a close-up on this with a camera, but there's a really cool like little feature about Final Fantasy 2 and 3 in there that I read like over and over again as well because I thought that was so neat. But if I remember correctly, there was something I noticed in the magazine that was wrong once I got the game and I realized it. Yeah, here it is. So it shows a screenshot and they give you a guide. And it's from the beginning of the game all the way through the end of Midgar. And it's very, very bare bones and just kind of gives you a rough idea of where to go. And it tells you, there's a caption here that says, wrapping up Disc 1. And so I just assumed, because I knew there were going to be 3 discs, that the end of Midgar was the end of Disc 1, because that's what it said in here. Nope. Nope. When I eventually played the game, it was like, holy crap. So this was like me just poring over this thing over and over and over again on that vacation when I got home, just looking at it, drooling over finally getting the chance to play it eventually. My friend Mike, growing up, had gotten this game, and he was like, "Oh, you want to come over and check it out?" And I was like, "Oh, hell yeah, I do." So I went over there, and he was in his room playing the game, and we were, I was watching him and stuff like that, and then he got bored, and he wanted to go do something else, and I was like, you can go do something else, can I play? And he's like, sure, alright. Yeah, I think he told me not to get farther than him, though, which was kind of funny. So I was like, whatever, sure, I just want to play it. So he let me play, and I got to play it, and using this magazine, I was able to get through the end of Midgar, and then I expected to put the neck disc in, and nope, it was just the world map, and I was like, holy crap, and then at that point I had to go home, and I was like, oh my god, so much more is happening! So I had to stop right there, and that was my first, like, taste of getting to play it. After that, my cousin Joey had the game, and he brought it over to my parents' house, and was playing it there, and I had to just sit and watch him play, and because he never let anybody else play it, but he was like super far too, and he actually, I've talked about this in a previous video, and that's my Final Fantasy VII guide. If you want to know the story behind this, go look at my video on why I don't let people borrow strategy guides. Matt, you son of a bitch! So I would watch him play and just sit there and fawn over everything that was going on the screen, listening to the music. I remember dinner time coming, and he was like, all right, let's go. I was like, can you just leave it on? Because I wanted to hear the battle music, because I was so, like, it was just so neat to me. And I just really, really, absolutely loved it. He left, couldn't play it, just had to watch it again. So Christmas of that year came, and what I would do, my dad every year would ask me, he was like, all right, give me a Christmas list. So I would always write one up. And what I would do is I would do I would like categorize it. And you can ask Mark or Brian from the Frozen North about this too, because I was very meticulous in my show notes, like structuring every episode, and I would type up show notes and give it to them and stuff like that. I've always been like that. But I would always put up a list, and then I would say like categorize it by PlayStation games, Super Nintendo games, whatever, I was looking for. I didn't expect to get everything, but it was just, because I knew a lot of the games that I wanted, which were RPGs, were harder to find. I would try to give them a few different things, that way they could look for it. And if they couldn't find one, hopefully they could find another one, whatever. So I remember putting on there Final Fantasy VII in all capital letters at the top of the page, circling it, underlining it, and writing big want with a bunch of arrows, coming down, pointing at it and stuff like that. Just so there was no question that I wanted this game, and I knew that it was so, like, heavily pushed that it shouldn't have been too tough to find, so wasn't too worried about it. Christmas morning came, and no Final Fantasy VII. And I got tons of other stuff. I couldn't tell you any other presents that I got that year, unfortunately. I'm sure it was great. I'm sure I loved it. But I know that I had this sinking feeling in my stomach, because I wanted it so bad, and I was like, I'm never going to get this game. This sucks. I get a phone call from Matt. Actually, it was his brother, Stu, who was like, hey, we got Final Fantasy VII. And I was like, cool. I'm so happy for you. That's awesome. Can I come over and play it? They're like, yeah, no, totally come over. So I spent Christmas afternoon over at their house playing that game. And it was awesome, but obviously I couldn't save my game or anything, so there really wasn't much I could do. I think I brought my memory card just so I could. I wanted to play it, and I couldn't, so Christmas Day, I spent it playing somebody else's game. So, went over there, and I was there all afternoon, got called back for dinner, and I was like I brought a few games that I had with me as well, because we would do that. They had like several systems set up in different rooms, so while one person was playing in one room, another person was playing something else in the other room. So I brought a few my games over, and they were like, I was like, I gotta go, but this is really weird. Can I borrow it? And they were like, what? And I was like, yeah, I really want to borrow it. And they're like, dude, we just got it today. It's Christmas. We just got this thing. What? And I was like, well, yeah, but I really want to play it, like, bad. And they're like, can we borrow a game? And I was like, you can borrow all of them. So I like literally gave them like the stack that I brought. I was like, you can borrow all these. I just want this one. And they were like, all right, cool. So I gave them like 4 games, and I borrowed that one and brought it home. And I was super excited. And when I got home, my parents were like, oh, by the way, you did get one more gift in the mail a couple of days ago that we forgot to give you this morning. It's from your aunt down in Florida. And I was like, really? All right. She typically has gotten me games in the past. Like anytime I got a thing from my Aunt Blanche in Florida, it was pretty dang solid, like game wise. Yeah. So they handed it to me. Sure enough, there it was. And I was so freaking excited, and now I had 2 copies of the game that I was sitting with. So I called up Stu, and I was like, hey dude, funny story. I just got it, and I told him about it and stuff, and we kind of had a good laugh, and I brought the game to him back again the next day. But yeah, I just thought it was so funny that I didn't have it for so long and had kept getting teased by all these different potential chances to play it, and the chances I did get, I got cut short. And man, it was a wild ride because I loved it so much, and I just wanted to keep going. And it's, god dang it, I played the hell out of that game. I still go back to it every at least once a year, I'd say. I don't finish it when I play it. I just do it just to kind of scratch that itch, because I enjoy the gameplay so much. And it's such an iconic game, such a great game. And anybody who hasn't played it, you do yourself a favor and give it a shot. With the remake that's coming out eventually, it'll be a great chance to experience the story. And if you want to see, what the big deal was back then, even though the graphics aren't great, they don't hold up very well. The gameplay, the mechanics, the story itself, everything else, I feel does hold up very well. And the characters, the cast is great, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful game, and I can't recommend it enough. So yeah, that's my experience with Final Fantasy VII, and eventually getting to play it. So yeah, tell me what did you guys think about Final Fantasy VII when it first came out? Were you excited? Were you kind of skeptical? Did you try it? Have you never played it? Let me know in the comments down below. Like, favorite, all that stuff. Subscribe, you know the deal. And as always, keep on gaming.